The little black girl told the biker someone dragged her friend into a service tunnel under the old motel. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's intense story. A little black girl, no older than 10, was running down a deserted street, tears streaming down her face. Her breath came in sharp gasps as she stumbled barefoot, her legs trembling. She ran straight into the biker bar, her small hands clutching the doorframe for support. The bar fell silent as everyone turned to look. The girl, shaking with fear, pointed toward the old motel at the end of the street. "They took my friend," she cried, her voice barely audible through the panic. "They dragged him into the service tunnel under the motel. Please, you have to help." Her words hit like a punch, freezing everyone in the room. The bikers, who had once lived by their own rules, who had long since walked away from trouble, now found themselves at the edge of something bigger than themselves. Jake, the leader of the group, stood up slowly. He was a man in his mid-40s, rough around the edges, with a scar that ran down the side of his face from a life that hadn't been kind. His eyes narrowed as he took in the girl's desperate expression. This wasn't just another street brawl or bar fight. This was real. "Where is he?" Jake's voice was calm, but the tension in his chest was palpable. The girl pointed shakily toward the motel, her eyes wide with terror. Jake turned to his crew, the Iron Riders, a group that had been through their own share of battles but had always stayed out of trouble in recent years. The members exchanged looks, some of them nervous, some already starting to move. "We're going," Jake said, his voice steady. No one hesitated. They all knew the rule. You never leave a kid behind. They gathered their things quickly, grabbing their helmets and jackets. The rumble of engines started up as they made their way out the door, heading toward the motel with purpose. As they arrived, the sight of the decaying building made the hairs on the back of Jake's neck stand up. The motel was old, the kind of place where no one ever stayed for long, but it had a reputation. It had seen a share of bad things. The bikers slowed as they neared the entrance. They had no idea what they were walking into, but Jake could feel the weight of the moment. The girl, still by his side, was trembling as she led them toward the back of the motel. The sun had already set, and the only light came from the flickering street lamps casting long shadows. They reached the side of the building, where a rusted metal door led into a dark service tunnel. Jake took a deep breath. He motioned for the bikers to stay back as he approached the door. He could hear muffled voices on the other side, but the sound of his boots hitting the pavement was louder than anything else. As he pushed the door open, a rush of cold air hit him, carrying with it the unmistakable scent of mildew and decay. Inside, the tunnel was pitch black, the only light coming from the dim glow of their flashlights. They moved cautiously, the sound of their footsteps echoing off the concrete walls. The girl walked ahead, her small body still trembling, but her resolve stronger than before. She led them deeper into the tunnel, each step bringing them closer to the unknown. What they didn't know was that danger was waiting for them, just around the corner, in the shadows of the old motel. I can feel the tension building as we move deeper into the service tunnel, the air thick with the musty smell of neglect. The small girl, Aisha, leads the way, her steps quick and determined despite the fear still etched on her face. The Iron Riders, a group of men who have seen it all, follow closely behind her, their eyes scanning every corner, every shadow. Jake, the leader, walks at the front, his gaze sharp and unyielding. He's been in dangerous situations before, but something about this feels different. They've been through battles and wars, but this isn't just another fight. This is a promise made long ago to a fallen brother, and Jake doesn't intend to break it. Aisha keeps moving, but her eyes keep darting back toward the group, looking for reassurance. Jake gives her a silent nod, a promise that they'll get her friend back. The tunnel stretches ahead, narrow and dark, its walls lined with old pipes, and exposed wiring. The silence is deafening, except for the faint sound of their boots echoing off the walls. They pass several doors, some ajar, others locked, but there's no sign of life, no sign of the people who took Aisha's friend. The deeper they go, the more the walls seem to close in on them, and the tension in the air becomes almost palpable. Suddenly, a noise echoes ahead, a faint scuffle, followed by a muffled cry. It's enough to freeze everyone in place. Jake signals for the group to stop. He motions for two bikers, Diesel and Shadow, to move ahead quietly. The rest of the group stays back, waiting for the signal. The seconds stretch out like hours, but the silence is only broken by the sound of distant footsteps. Diesel and Shadow move like shadows themselves, silent and swift. They come back moments later, their faces grim. "We found them," Diesel says, his voice low but steady. "They're holding the kid in a small room up ahead. But there's someone else with him." Jake's heart tightens. He doesn't ask for more details. He doesn't need them. He knows what he has to do. They move forward again, quicker this time, their steps heavier as the adrenaline starts to pump through their veins. They round a corner, and there it is, a small room at the end of the tunnel. It's dimly lit, and they can just make out the silhouette of a figure standing in front of the door. Jake motions for everyone to stay low. He moves forward, his body tense with every step. The closer they get, the more Jake can hear the muffled voices coming from inside the room. One of them is Aisha's friend. He can tell from the desperation in the voice. The other voice is gruff, threatening. It sends a chill down his spine. "Stay behind me," Jake whispers to Aisha, who nods, her small face determined. They're almost there. The figure at the door doesn't notice them until it's too late. Diesel is the first to move, stepping forward with the speed and precision of someone who has done this 100 times before. He grabs the man by the shoulder and spins him around. The man's eyes widen in shock before Diesel shoves him to the ground. Jake and the others burst into the room, and what they find takes them by surprise. The room is small, barely large enough to fit the two kids and a couple of old chairs. Aisha's friend, Jamal, is tied to one of the chairs, his face bruised but alive. Standing over him is another man, much older, with a scar running down his cheek. He's holding a knife in his hand, his back turned to the door. Jake steps forward, his voice cold and controlled. "Let him go." The man spins around, his eyes flashing with surprise, but he doesn't move. He looks at Jake, sizing him up, then his gaze shifts to the rest of the bikers in the doorway. He laughs, low and menacing. "You think you could just waltz in here and take him?" The tension in the room skyrockets, but Jake doesn't flinch. He knows better than to show fear. "You're outnumbered," Jake says calmly, his voice steady, like he's been in situations like this 100 times before. "Let the kid go, or we'll make you." The man eyes them all, then looks back at Jamal, his finger tapping nervously against the knife handle. Jake steps forward again, his posture unyielding. The man hesitates for a moment longer, then finally lowers the knife. "You're lucky I don't want any more trouble," he mutters, backing away. Diesel moves in quickly, untying Jamal, who collapses into his arms. "Thank you," he whispers, tears streaming down his face. Jake looks at Aisha, who has tears in her eyes too, but they're different now. They're tears of relief. "You're safe now," Jake says, his voice softening for the first time. Aisha nods, her small body trembling as she clutches Jamal. The bikers start to move toward the exit, the mission complete, but Jake's mind is already shifting. This isn't over. They may have saved Jamal, but they've just made a dangerous enemy. As the group makes its way back down the tunnel, Jake can't shake the feeling that this is only the beginning. "I can feel the weight of the air shifting as we leave." The service tunnel behind. The rescue was swift, but the feeling of danger hasn't fully passed. Jake, leading the charge, keeps his eyes sharp, scanning every corner. The Iron Riders are all alert. The mission's still far from over. They have saved Jamal, but as they exit the dim, musty tunnel, Jake knows this won't end here. The older man, the one with the scar down his cheek, had given up without much of a fight, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more at play. Why would they go after a child who had nothing to do with the life they left behind? As they make their way back to the bikes, Aisha's small voice breaks the silence. "Thank you," she whispers, her voice full of gratitude and relief. Her hand is still holding Jamal's, but there's something different in the air. The tension is shifting into something that feels almost like peace, but Jake knows better. This world doesn't let you rest for long. "We need to get out of here," Jake says quietly, turning to Diesel. Diesel, the heavy-set, rough biker who's always been ready for anything, nods. "We're good to go," he says, his voice calm but serious. They all mount their bikes, their engines roaring to life with a sound that seems to shake the very earth beneath them. Aisha climbs onto the back of Jake's bike, her small frame trembling against his back, but there's relief in her now. Jamal is safe, and she's going to be okay. As they ride away from the old motel, Jake can't help but glance over his shoulder, a feeling of unease creeping up his spine. He can still feel the eyes of the man in the tunnel watching them, and he knows the Serpents, the gang behind this mess, won't let this go easily. "Keep your eyes peeled," Jake mutters into the radio. "Something's coming. I can feel it." The road stretches out before them, the sun dipping below the horizon, casting long shadows over the highway. The Iron Riders form a tight pack, their bikes moving as one unit, but the distance between them and danger is closing faster than Jake likes. He can hear the roar of engines in the distance, but it's not just the sound of their own bikes. Someone's tailing them. Jake's hand tightens around the throttle. "There's someone." "Behind us," Shadow says, his voice coming over the radio, steady but filled with the kind of tension Jake's been expecting. "They're closing in fast." "Stay calm, don't panic," Jake replies, his voice like steel. "We're sticking to the plan. Keep it tight, keep it smart." As the Iron Riders make their way down the highway, the lights of the approaching vehicles grow brighter in the rearview mirror. "We've got company," Diesel says, his tone now filled with urgency. Jake glances over his shoulder once again. It's them, the Serpents, no doubt. He can see the custom rims on the silver Suburban. "Hold tight, Aisha," Jake says as he speeds up. "We need to lose them." The bikes kick into high gear as the Iron Riders push forward, the wind whistling in their ears. The roar of their engines fills the air, the sound of freedom, of defiance. But the headlights behind them keep gaining, steadily drawing closer. "We're not going to outrun them on the straightaways," Clutch says, his voice crackling over the radio. "We need to get off the road, take a detour." Jake nods, his mind already working. "Take the next exit. We'll lose them in the back roads." The Iron Riders veer off the highway, their bikes cutting through the night like shadows. They twist and turn down narrow back roads, the headlights of the Serpents' vehicles still hot on their tail. The rumble of their engines is deafening, but Jake's focus is razor-sharp. "We're heading into the woods," he says, glancing back at Aisha. "Hold on." The tires screech as the bikes hit the gravel road, bouncing over rocks and uneven ground. The Serpents are still coming, but Jake knows the terrain better than they do. He pushes forward, weaving through the trees, the lights behind them growing dimmer as the gap between them widens. But just as Jake allows himself a moment of relief, his radio crackles again. "They're not giving up," Diesel says. "They've got backup. We need to go off-road." "Agreed," Jake says, his voice firm. "We've got a few more tricks up our sleeves." The bikes climb a steep hill, the trees narrowing as they push deeper into the woods. The Serpents' vehicles can't follow them up this way. Jake smiles grimly. He's done this many times before, and he knows how to shake them off. But just as they crest the hill, the trees open up, and Jake spots something in the distance. A cabin. "We're taking shelter," Jake says. "Get to that cabin now." The group moves quickly, their bikes skidding to a stop as they park in front of the cabin. They dismount quickly, guns in hand, ready for whatever comes next. Aisha and Jamal stand together, their faces filled with fear but also relief. "We're safe for now," Jake says, but his voice is dark. "But this is far from over. The Serpents will be back, and when they return, the Iron Riders will be ready." I can feel the tension mounting as the Iron Riders settle into the old cabin. The bikes are silent now, The only sounds are the creaks of the wooden floor and the distant rustling of trees outside. The weight of what they just did hangs heavy in the air, but Jake knows this is far from over. They've bought themselves some time, but the Serpents are relentless, and they'll be back, ready to finish what they started. Jake glances over at Aisha and Jamal, both of them sitting by the window, watching the dark road that leads back to the highway. Aisha's hand is still clutching Jamal's, her small face drawn with worry. She looks like she hasn't had a good night's sleep in weeks, and Jake can't blame her. "We're safe for now," Jake says, trying to reassure her, but even he doesn't believe his own words. The reality is, the Serpents don't let things go easily. His mind races, calculating their next move. Diesel, Shadow, and Clutch are talking in hushed tones by the door, their eyes scanning the night. They're all ready for whatever comes next, but Jake knows they need to be smarter this time. He approaches them, his boots heavy on the old floorboards. "We can't just wait here," Jake says, his voice low. "The Serpents will be looking for us. We need to hit them first." Clutch looks up, his eyes narrowing. "You're talking about drawing them out, aren't you? Making them chase us." "Exactly," Jake replies, his voice steady. "We know they won't stop until they get what they want. And we know they won't risk attacking us directly unless they think we're weak. So we give them that. We make them think we've left." Shadow nods, a smirk crossing his face. "It'll be just like old times, huh? Luring them out, then springing the trap." Jake looks at Aisha again. She's still watching the road, her face tense. He can see the fear in her eyes, but there's something else, too. She's strong, stronger than most adults. She's already seen the worst of this world, and yet here she is, holding it together. He approaches her quietly, his boots muffled on the floor. "Aisha," he says softly. She looks up at him, her eyes wide and trusting. "Are you okay?" Aisha nods, though her face betrays her calm exterior. "I'm fine. I just want to make sure Jamal is safe." Jake crouches down next to her, his voice soft but firm. "You're safe now. I won't let anything happen to you. We're going to make sure of that." Aisha gives him a small, grateful smile, but the worry still lingers in her eyes. Jake stands, turning back to the group. "All right, here's the plan. We're going to split up. Diesel, you and Shadow take the west side. Clutch, you take the east. I'll go south. We'll move through the woods, cover as much ground as possible. We're going to make it look like we've scattered. Then we wait. When they start chasing us, that's when we hit them. No mercy. We take them down one by one." Diesel grins, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. "I like the sound of that." Clutch cracks his knuckles, the sound echoing in the quiet room. "Let's make them regret messing with us." Jake looks at Aisha and Jamal one last time. He can't help but feel a twinge of guilt. They're just kids, caught in a world they never asked for. But that's the world they live in now. And Jake's not about to let anyone hurt them again. "Stay inside. Keep low," Jake says to Aisha. "We'll take care of the rest." She nods again, though her hand tightens around Jamal's. "I'll stay with him," she whispers. Jake nods, his heart heavy with the weight of his promise. He motions for the group to move out, and one by one, the Iron Riders head into the night, disappearing into the woods. The air is thick with anticipation, the only sound the crunch of boots on gravel and the low hum of the engines as they fade into the distance. Jake takes a deep breath, his mind focused. He knows what's coming, and he's ready. The Serpents will be looking for a fight, and when they find it, they won't be prepared for what the Iron Riders have in store. They've made a dangerous enemy, but now they're going to finish it. Jake's mind races as he moves through the trees, keeping his distance from the others. The cold air bites at his skin, but his thoughts are elsewhere, on the mission ahead. This fight won't be easy, but it's the only way to end it. He glances back toward the cabin one last time. Aisha and Jamal are inside, safe for now. But this isn't over. Not by a long shot. The fight is just beginning. I can feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins as I move deeper into the woods. The moon is just a sliver in the sky, casting weak light through the trees, but it's enough for me to navigate. I can hear the sound of engines in the distance, the hum of the bikes growing louder as we get farther from the cabin. The Iron Riders are scattered, keeping their distance, their movements calculated and deliberate. Each of us is in position, waiting for the serpents to make their move. I know they're out there. They're watching, waiting for us to slip up, but we won't. Not this time. My mind races as I crouch low against the trunk of a tree, my eyes scanning the horizon. It's quiet now, too quiet, and I know that's when trouble always comes. I adjust my grip on the radio, sending out a signal to the team. Everyone good? Diesel's voice crackles through the static, steady as ever. All clear on this side, he responds. I can hear the soft rustling of the leaves beneath his boots as he moves. We're ready. Shadow. I call. There's a pause before his voice comes through, smooth and calm, though I know he's tense, just like the rest of us. I'm set. Nothing's moving out here. Clutch's voice cuts in next, sharp and alert. I've got eyes on the road. No sign of them yet, but they're out there. I can feel it. I take a deep breath, my thoughts briefly returning to Aisha and Jamal back at the cabin. I promised them they would be safe, and I intend to keep that promise. A sudden noise cuts through the silence, distant but unmistakable, the sound of engines revving. The serpents are here. I raise my hand, signaling for the group to stay put. We all freeze, waiting, watching, as the sounds of the engines draw closer. My heart beats faster in my chest. They're not going to get away this time. I can hear the rumble of tires on gravel, followed by the sharp screech of brakes as they pull into the clearing ahead. The serpents are here, and they're not going to back down easily. My fingers tighten around the grip of my motorcycle as I prepare to move, but I hold back, waiting for the perfect moment. The last thing I want is for them to know we're here until we're ready to strike. The light from their headlights cuts through the darkness, illuminating the trees in eerie streaks of pale white. I wait until I can make out the shapes of their vehicles, 2 dark trucks, followed by a group of bikes. The serpents have come prepared, and they're here for blood. They've got reinforcements, Diesel says quietly through the radio. Looks like we're dealing with a full-on ambush. Stay calm. Don't engage until I say so. I reply, my voice low and steady. We'll wait until they're all in position. The tension in the air is thick, and I can feel my muscles tightening, ready to spring into action. We wait, eyes fixed on the moving vehicles, each of us focused on our surroundings. Time seems to slow as the serpents advance further into the woods. They're making their way toward the cabin, and I know we have only one shot at this. I take a deep breath, steadying my nerves. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Now, I order. The Iron Riders move as one. In an instant, we're on the move, emerging from the trees, our bikes roaring to life. The serpents barely have time to react before we're upon them. The sound of engines fills the air as we charge forward, a blur of leather, steel, and determination. The first serpent truck screeches to a halt, but it's too late. Diesel slams his bike into the front of the truck, knocking it off course. The driver stumbles out, reaching for a weapon, but before he can draw his gun, Shadow's already on him, knocking him to the ground with a well-placed punch. Keep moving, I shout, my voice carrying through the chaos. The rest of the serpents scramble, trying to regroup, but we're too fast, too well-coordinated. I spot the leader of the serpents, a man with a scar running down his face. He's trying to get away, but I'm not going to let him. I push my bike harder, catching up to him as he tries to flee into the trees. I pull alongside him, revving my engine, my eyes locked on his. You're not going anywhere, I growl. He looks over his shoulder, his eyes widening as he realizes he's trapped. He pulls a knife, lunging at me, but I'm ready. I knock the blade away with a swift swipe of my hand, then slam him into the ground. He's not going anywhere. You made a mistake, coming after us, I say, my voice cold as ice. I turn to see the rest of the Iron Riders taking care of business. Diesel is standing over the second serpent, his fists raised in victory. Shadow is guarding the cabin, making sure no one gets near Aisha or Jamal. Clutch is watching the road, making sure no more surprises are coming. We've won this round, but I know it's not over. The serpents will be back, and when they do, we'll be ready. I stand there, the air heavy with the aftermath of the fight. The serpents are down, but I can feel the weight of their anger still lingering in the woods, like a storm on the horizon. The Iron Riders are catching their breath, their motorcycles parked in a tight circle around the cabin. Diesel, his fists still clenched, looks around, making sure no one is creeping up on us. Shadow, as always, keeps his eyes sharp, scanning the trees. But I can't shake the feeling that something is off. The Serpents didn't just show up for a fight. They were after something, and I have a sinking feeling we haven't seen the last of them. Aisha and Jamal are still inside the cabin, hidden from sight, but I can feel the tension rising as the seconds tick by. I turn to Diesel. We need to move. Now, I say, my voice low but urgent. We've got to get Aisha and Jamal out of here. Diesel nods, his eyes narrowing with determination. What's the plan? I hesitate for a moment, my mind racing. We can't stay here. It's too exposed. We'll head to the old warehouse near Riverside. It's off the grid, and we can lay low there until we figure out what's next. Diesel agrees without hesitation, and I can see the rest of the group already moving into action. The tension between us is palpable. We know that we're only one step ahead of the Serpents, and the next move they make could be their last. I turn to the cabin, where Aisha and Jamal are waiting. Aisha looks out the window, her face a mixture of fear and relief. Her small hands are clutching Jamal's, but she knows as well as I do that they can't stay hidden forever. I walk up to the door, my boots echoing on the wooden floor. We're moving out. Get your things. We don't have much time. Aisha nods, her eyes flicking toward the door. Are we safe? Her voice is barely above a whisper, but I hear the fear in it. For now, I say, my voice steady despite the chaos swirling inside me. I know better than to give false promises. We're never truly safe. We all have our roles to play in this fight, and Aisha and Jamal have already become part of ours. As they grab their things and prepare to leave, I can feel the weight of the responsibility pressing on my shoulders. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about keeping a promise I made to Aisha's father all those years ago. We're not going to let these kids down. I glance back at the riders, who are already ready to move. The bikes are roaring to life, their engines filling the air with the familiar hum of power and defiance. We'll leave the cabin behind and head toward Riverside. It's a dangerous move, but it's the only one we have. As we roll out, I can't help but glance back at the dark woods we just left behind. The Serpents will come for us, I know that much. But they're not going to get us. Not today. We ride hard, our bikes cutting through the night, the moonlight flashing off the chrome like a beacon. The streets are empty, and the only sound is the roar of our engines. But even in the silence, I can feel it. Something is coming. I glance over at Aisha, who's riding behind me, her arms wrapped tightly around me. I don't know what's going through her mind, but I can tell she's not just scared. She's worried. I can feel it in the way her body tenses against mine. Jamal, who's riding behind Diesel, looks tired, but his eyes are wide with wonder. He's still a kid, trying to make sense of the world around him. And for now, he's safe. I look ahead, my mind already on the next step. We can't afford to make any more mistakes. Riverside is just ahead, but I know we're not out of danger yet. The Serpents are out there, and they're coming for us. We'll make it to the warehouse, but I know that won't be the end of it. There's a storm coming, and we're going to have to ride it out. We reach the warehouse, and the riders park their bikes in a tight formation. The place is quiet, abandoned, and it feels like the right place to lay low for a while. We move inside, and I give orders to set up watch. We can't afford to get comfortable. Not yet. Aisha and Jamal sit on the dusty floor, their eyes wide with uncertainty. Aisha's face is pale, but there's something else there, determination. She's scared, but she's not giving up. She knows that we're not done yet. The night drags on, and we settle in for the long haul. The riders are keeping watch, the air thick with the sound of silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of the wind outside. I sit against a wall, my mind racing. I know the Serpents won't stop until they get what they want. And I know they're coming for us. But we're not backing down. Not this time. We'll fight, we'll survive, and we'll make sure that no one ever has to go through what Aisha and Jamal did again. I sit in the dim light of the warehouse, my mind still racing. The Iron Riders are scattered around, keeping watch, their eyes sharp for any sign of movement. The night feels endless, the silence stretching out, broken only by the occasional sound of shifting equipment or the wind outside. Aisha and Jamal are resting in the corner, trying to sleep, but I can tell neither of them are really at ease. They've been through too much, and the tension in the air isn't helping. I glance over at Diesel, who's keeping watch by the door. His eyes meet mine for a moment, and he gives a small nod, acknowledging that we're still in the clear. But even Diesel's calm demeanor can't hide the unease that's spreading through the group. We all know the Serpents won't just give up. They're out there, waiting, watching, and they're not going to let us get away that easily. I stand up slowly, stretching my stiff legs. The air in here is stale, and the weight of the situation is starting to settle on me. I've been in tight spots before, but this feels different. This time, it's not just about survival. It's about keeping a promise, and I'm not going to let anyone down. I move over to the corner where Aisha and Jamal are sitting. Aisha looks up as I approach, her tired eyes filled with worry. She's trying to be strong, but I can see the fear still there. We're safe for now, I say, keeping my voice steady. But we need to stay ready. The Serpents won't stop. They'll come for us again. Aisha nods, but I can tell the weight of my words is heavy on her. She's still a child, and this world she's been thrown into isn't fair. She should be worried about school, about making friends, about the things that every kid should worry about. But instead, she's trapped in a nightmare she never asked for. I kneel down in front of her, trying to reassure her without making false promises. We're going to make it through this, I tell her. You're not alone. We'll make sure of that. Jamal, who's been silent until now, speaks up. His voice is small but steady, and it hits me harder than I expect. Are we going to stay here forever? He asks, his eyes wide with confusion. It's a simple question, but it carries a weight that I can't ignore. I glance at Aisha, and she looks back at me, both of us knowing the answer but unwilling to say it out loud. No, I say after a moment, my voice firm. We'll find a way out. But for now, we have to be patient. I stand up and turn toward the rest of the group, my mind already working on the next steps. The Serpents won't wait long. They'll be back, and we need to be ready for them. I walk over to the map pinned to the wall, tracing the routes in my mind. The warehouse is a good hiding spot for now, but it won't keep us safe forever. We need to think ahead, plan our next move carefully. Diesel and Shadow are already talking strategy, their voices low but urgent. I join them, my mind sharp and focused. We can't stay here much longer, I say. We need to find a place where we can regroup, maybe even get some support. The Serpents are too close. We can't let them corner us. Diesel looks up at me, his expression hard. Where do you want to go? We head south, I reply, tapping the map. There's a safe house I know about, a few hundred miles out. It's isolated off the grid. We can lay low there for a while, get our bearings. Shadow nods, his eyes scanning the map. It's a risk, but it's our best shot. We'll move out at dawn, I say. Everyone get some rest. We'll need all our strength for tomorrow. As I make my way back to the corner, I can feel the weight of the decision pressing on me. We're moving deeper into enemy territory, but it's the only way forward. I glance at Aisha and Jamal once more. Aisha is trying to comfort her brother, whispering softly to him. I can see the exhaustion in her eyes, the emotional toll this is taking on her. Jamal looks up at her, his face full of trust, and I can see that even though they're scared, they're holding onto each other. It's a small comfort, but it's something. I sit back down, my mind still racing, but I know there's no time to waste. The Serpents are coming, and when they do, we have to be ready. The hours drag on, and the weight of what's to come settles over the group like a storm. We're all still alert, still on edge, but the plan is set. We'll leave at first light, heading south. It's not much of a plan, but it's the best we've got. As I settle down against the wall, trying to catch some rest, I can hear the sound of the wind outside, rustling through the trees. It's a familiar sound, one that's always reminded me of peace, of calm. But tonight, it's different. It's a warning. Tomorrow we fight. Tomorrow, we face the Serpents, and we do whatever it takes to protect these kids. We've come this far, and I'll be damned if we let them down now. I stand by the window of the old warehouse, staring into the dark horizon. The cool night air seeps through the cracked panes, a constant reminder that we're still on borrowed time. My mind races with the plan we've set for tomorrow, the ride south, away from the danger we've stirred. The Iron Riders are gathered in the main room, each of them lost in their thoughts, their eyes heavy from the weight of what's ahead. The tension is thick in the air, but we all know what we have to do. Aisha and Jamal are sitting in the corner, huddled together, trying to rest, but it's clear they're both on edge. I can't blame them. The world they've been thrust into is a dangerous one, and there's no turning back now. I take a deep breath and turn away from the window. Tomorrow we ride. Tomorrow we make our way to Riverside. The safe house is only a few hundred miles away, but that's a lot of ground to cover when we're being hunted. I move over to Diesel, who's sitting by the map on the wall, his face grim. You ready for tomorrow? I ask, keeping my voice low. Diesel looks up, his dark eyes reflecting the same determination I feel. I'm ready, he says simply, his voice steady. But we need to be careful. The Serpents won't be far behind. They're not going to let us slip away without a fight. I nod. I know. We'll keep moving, stay off the main roads. We can't risk getting spotted. Shadow, who's been listening quietly from the corner, speaks up. I'll keep an eye out while you guys rest. We can't afford to let our guard down for a second. Good, I say. Everyone needs to be on alert. Aisha, Jamal, I want you both to stay close to us. We'll keep you safe. Aisha looks up at me, her eyes wide with gratitude. Thank you, she whispers. I don't know what we'd do without you. Her words hit me harder than I expect. I made a promise to her father years ago, and now I'm doing everything I can to keep that promise. I can't fail her. I can't fail any of them. I turn away from her, my mind already back on the task at hand. We've got a long road ahead, and I need to make sure we're prepared. The clock ticks on, the minutes feeling like hours. As dawn approaches, the group starts to gather, checking their gear, making sure their bikes are ready for the journey ahead. The warehouse feels cold now, the stillness unsettling. There's a finality to this moment, as if the calm before the storm is settling in. We're about to ride into the unknown, and there's no turning back. I take a moment to look at Aisha and Jamal again. They're trying to be brave, but I can see the fear in their eyes. It's not the kind of fear that can be hidden. It's the kind of fear that comes from knowing you're not safe, not even when you're with people who are supposed to protect you. I walk over to them, crouching down to their level. We'll be all right, I say, my voice gentle but firm. Just stick with us. We'll get through this. Aisha nods, her small hand squeezing Jamal's. I know. I trust you. I smile, though it's a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. Trust is something earned, not given, and I'm doing everything I can earn it. The group is ready. We've packed up, checked our supplies, and made sure the bikes are in good condition. Diesel and Shadow exchange a few last words, confirming the route we'll take. We'll be sticking to the back roads, staying hidden, but there's no doubt in my mind that the Serpents will be looking for us. They'll be expecting us to run, and they'll do whatever it takes to catch up. But we've got the element of surprise on our side, and we know the terrain better than they do. The Iron Riders are ready. We move out, leaving the warehouse behind, the sound of our engines roaring to life as we hit the road. The cool morning air cuts through the silence, the miles stretching out before us. I keep a steady pace, my eyes scanning the road ahead, every sense on high alert. We're not just riding, we're moving through enemy territory. Every mile feels like a countdown, and I know it won't be long before the Serpents catch up. But we won't be easy to catch. As the day drags on, the sky darkens and the tension builds. The Serpents won't be far behind, but we're making good time. We keep pushing forward, never stopping for too long, always moving, always staying ahead. I glance over at Aisha, who's still riding behind me, her face set in determination. She's not just a child anymore. She's part of this fight now, part of the family we've built here, and I'll protect her no matter what. We keep riding, pushing through the hours, through the miles, until we finally see the outskirts of Riverside on the horizon. We've made it. The safe house is just ahead, but I know the Serpents are still out there, waiting, watching. This isn't over yet. As we approach the safe house, I take one last look over my shoulder. The road is empty, but I can feel the weight of the fight ahead. The Serpents aren't done with us, but we're ready. We'll face them head on, and when the dust settles, we'll be the ones still standing. I pull the bike to a stop in front of the safe house, the engines dying down as the sound fades into the quiet of the countryside. The sun is starting to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the dirt road. We've made it this far, but the weight of what's coming still hangs heavy in the air. I turn off the engine and glance over at the rest of the group. Diesel and Shadow are already dismounting, their eyes scanning the area. Clutch follows, his bike roaring to a stop beside mine. Aisha and Jamal, still riding behind me, look relieved to have made it this far, but I can see the fear still in their eyes. They know what comes next. We've entered enemy territory, and there's no guarantee that the Serpents won't catch up. But this is the only place we can hide for now. I nod at the group, signaling for them to move inside. Let's get in, get the bikes locked up, and stay low, I say. We need to be ready for anything. We make our way inside the safe house, a small cabin nestled deep in the woods, far from prying eyes. It's quiet here, isolated, and for a moment, it feels like we found a brief moment of peace. But that peace is fleeting. As we move inside, the adrenaline begins to fade, and I can feel the exhaustion settling in. We've been on the run for so long, and we haven't stopped long enough to catch our breath. I move to the back of the cabin, checking the windows, making sure everything is secure. The last thing we need is for the Serpents to sneak up on us while we're resting. Diesel follows me, his eyes scanning the perimeter. We're good for now, he says, his voice low. But they'll be looking for us. They won't stop until they find us. I nod, knowing he's right. The Serpents won't let go. They've been hunting us since we took out their men. I don't know how long we'll be safe here, but we need to take advantage of this time. I turn back to the others, who are settling in by the fire. Aisha is sitting with Jamal, trying to comfort him. She's holding it together, but I can see the toll this has taken on her. She's lost so much already, and she's still just a kid. She shouldn't be dealing with this. But here we are. We're safe here for the night. I say, my voice steady. But we need to stay vigilant. The Serpents are out there, and they're coming for us. We'll make our move tomorrow. Clutch looks up from the map on the table. What's the plan? He asks. I walk over, taking a seat at the table with the rest of the group. We stay here tonight, regroup. Tomorrow, we head to the next safe house. It's a risk, but we can't stay here forever. Diesel raises an eyebrow. You really think we can make it without them finding us? We don't have much of a choice, I say. We'll stay on the back roads. Keep off the main routes. We'll be moving fast. The less time we spend in one place, the better. I can see the skepticism in Diesel's eyes, but he nods anyway. All right, we move at dawn then. The room falls silent for a moment, everyone lost in their thoughts. I glance over at Aisha again. She's still holding Jamal, her face buried in his hair. I can't help but feel the weight of what I've promised her father all those years ago. I'm responsible for them now, and I'll do whatever it takes to make sure they're safe. I walk over to Aisha, crouching down next to her. You good? I ask. She looks up at me, her eyes tired but strong. I'm fine, she says softly. I just want this to be over. I nod, understanding more than she knows. We'll make sure of that. We'll get through this. I can see the relief in her eyes, but it's fleeting. She knows as well as I do that we're not out of the woods yet. The Serpents are still out there, and they'll be coming for us. I take a deep breath, turning back to the group. Everyone get some rest. I say, we've got a long ride ahead of us tomorrow. The fire crackles as we settle into the cabin, each of us lost in our thoughts, but still alert. The night stretches on, and the weight of what's to come presses down on us. The Serpents won't stop, but neither will we. Tomorrow, we ride again. And this time, we'll make sure they don't catch us. Not this time. I wake up to the sound of the first light breaking through the cracks in the cabin. The quiet is thick, but there's no denying the urgency now. The plan was set last night, and now it's time to move. I stretch and shake off the weariness in my bones. The air inside the cabin is cold, the kind of cold that creeps into your muscles, making you feel stiff, but I don't have time to dwell on it. Outside, the world is still, too still. No sound of movement, no sign of the Serpents yet, but I know they're out there. I glance over at Diesel, who's already awake, sitting by the fire, sharpening his knife with precision. Shadow is up too, leaning against the wall, his eyes scanning the room with that ever-present alertness. I catch their gaze and nod. It's time to go. I move over to Aisha and Jamal, who are huddled under a blanket in the corner. Aisha looks up at me, her eyes filled with that quiet strength that I've come to rely on. Jamal is still asleep, his small form curled up against his sister. I crouch down beside them. We're moving out, I say softly. Aisha nods without hesitation, but I can see the worry still lingering in her eyes. Are we going to be okay? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. I pause for a moment, looking at the determination in her face. We're going to be okay, I tell her, though I know she can hear the doubt in my voice. She's too smart not to know we're not out of danger yet. We'll get you both to safety. I stand up and motion for the group to gather. Diesel, Clutch, and Shadow move toward the door, and I follow behind them. The cold morning air greets us as we step outside, and I can feel the tension rising. The bikes are lined up, ready to go, their engines humming in the quiet. We've made it this far, but the road ahead is still uncertain. I give a nod to Diesel. You ready? I ask. Born ready, Diesel replies with a grin. He always says that, no matter the situation. I take one last look at the cabin, the place that's been our shelter for the night. We've outstayed our welcome here, and I know we're not alone anymore. The Serpents will be looking for us, and when they find us, they won't be kind. I start my bike, the engine roaring to life beneath me. Aisha and Jamal are riding with me again, and I feel the weight of their presence behind me, a reminder of the responsibility I carry. We head out, keeping to the back roads, just as we planned. The trees rush by in a blur, and the sound of our bikes fills the air, but it's not enough to drown out the feeling of impending danger. I keep my eyes focused on the road, but I can feel it. The Serpents are out there, closing in on us. We've been riding for hours, the landscape changing from thick woods to open fields. The sun is climbing higher in the sky, but there's no relief in sight. Push the bike faster, the engine roaring as we race through the trees. The bridge is just ahead. We can make it. We will make it. I can see the bridge up ahead, the old wooden structure creaking in the wind, barely lit by the weak sunlight filtering through the trees. We're close, but the Serpents aren't far behind. I can hear the roar of their engines growing louder with every passing second. My heart races as I push the bike harder, the familiar rumble beneath me a reminder that we're running out of time. Aisha's grip tightens on my waist, and I can feel her body pressed against mine, her small form trying to hold on as we navigate the rough terrain. Jamal is clinging to Diesel, who's riding behind us, staying just close enough to keep an eye on us, but also aware that we can't risk slowing down. The bridge is getting closer. We can make it. I just need to hold on for a little longer. The trees are thinning out, and ahead, the river stretches wide, the water flowing fast beneath the bridge. I glance over my shoulder, and that's when I see them, two of the Serpents' bikes tearing through the woods, gaining on us fast. They're not giving up. They're not going to stop until they've caught us. I grit my teeth, pushing the bike faster, weaving in and out of the trees, try to gain some distance before we hit the bridge. The road is rough, but it's the only way across. Diesel's voice crackles over the radio, his voice tight with urgency. They're almost on us, Jake. We need to move now. I can feel the pressure building, the adrenaline spiking in my veins. I don't answer him immediately, my focus entirely on the bridge ahead. The Serpents won't give up, but we can't let them catch us. We hit the bridge at full speed, the wooden planks rattling under the weight of the bikes. I look ahead, trying to see the other side, trying to gauge the best way to make it across quickly without crashing into the railing. The bridge is narrow, and the gap between the boards is wide enough that I can feel the bike shifting beneath me as we race across. I push forward, the roar of the Serpents' bikes getting closer, the sound of their engines reverberating in my ears. We can't stop now. We can't afford to slip up. As we hit the center of the bridge, I glance back again. The Serpents are close. Too close. I need to get across before they catch up. I lean into the bike, pushing the throttle as hard as I can, feeling the wind whipping past me, the world blurring at the edges. And then, just as we reach the end of the bridge, I hear it, the unmistakable sound of a bike sliding out of control. I look over my shoulder just in time to see one of the Serpents' riders lose control and crash into the side of the bridge. The impact is deafening, but there's no time to look back. We're already crossing to the other side. My mind races as I push ahead. We've made it across the bridge, but we're not safe yet. The Serpents are still coming, and they're furious. Diesel is right behind me, keeping close, but we can't let up. We need to get off the main roads. I signal for the group to move off the path and into the woods. Diesel follows, leading the way as we cut through the trees. The sound of the Serpents' bikes is still echoing behind us, but we've gained some distance. For now, we're in the clear, but I know it won't last long. We need to find a place to lay low. I look back at Aisha and Jamal, both of them still clinging to the backs of their respective riders. Aisha's eyes are wide with fear, but she's holding it together. Jamal is quiet, his face pale, but I can see the determination in his eyes. They've been through so much, but they're still here, still fighting. That's all that matters. I glance at Diesel again. We need to keep moving, I say. We can't stop until we're far enough away. Keep pushing. Diesel nods, his face hard. He doesn't need to be told twice. We ride on, cutting through the woods, making sure to stay off the main trails. The trees blur around us, the sounds of the Serpents fading behind us, but I know we can't stop yet. We've been lucky so far, but luck doesn't last forever. We need to make sure we're far enough ahead that they can't find us again. I glance back once more, the sun now sinking lower in the sky. The shadows are growing longer, and the world around us is growing darker. But even in the darkness, I know we have a chance. We'll make it. We have to. We keep pushing, the engines roaring as we speed through the woods, the road disappearing beneath us. The Serpents won't give up, but neither will we. I can feel the weight of the night pressing down on us as we continue to move through the thick woods. The engines of our bikes hum in the darkness, but there's no escaping the feeling of being hunted. I glance over at Diesel, who's riding a few feet behind me, his eyes sharp, scanning the road ahead. We've managed to outrun the Serpents for now, but I know it's only a matter of time before they catch up. I keep my pace steady, focused on the road, but I can't shake the feeling that they're still out there, just waiting for us to slip up. Aisha and Jamal are still behind me, holding on tight. Aisha looks strong, but I can see the fear in her eyes. She's been through more than any kid should have to, and I know this whole ride has taken its toll on her. But there's something else in her eyes, too, something that's harder to place. It's determination. She's not giving up, and neither am I. The sound of the engines fades as we reach a clearing, and for a moment, the silence is almost unbearable. Diesel pulls up next to me, slowing down. We need to stop for a moment, he says, his voice low. We've been riding hard, and we need to make sure we're not being followed. I nod. It's a good call. We can't keep running forever. We need to plan our next move. We pull off the trail and into the clearing, parking our bikes in a tight circle. The forest around us is still, but I can feel the tension building. Everyone dismounts, and I take a moment to check the surroundings. It's quiet, but too quiet. We can't afford to relax yet. Keep your eyes open, I say to the group, my voice steady. We don't know if the Serpents have regrouped, but we need to stay sharp. Diesel and Shadow begin to scan the area, their eyes moving over the trees, looking for any sign of movement. I turn to Aisha and Jamal, both of them standing a few feet away, trying to keep their distance. I can tell Aisha wants to talk, but she's holding back. She's always been like that, strong but reserved. I walk over to her, kneeling down to her level. How are you holding up? I ask. She looks up at me, her face tired but determined. I'm fine, she says, though I can hear the exhaustion in her voice. I just want to know that we're going to be okay. I pause for a moment, my heart heavy with the weight of her words. I can't promise her that things will be easy, but I can promise her this. We won't stop fighting. We're going to be okay, I say, my voice firm. I won't let anything happen to you or Jamal. You're not alone in this. She nods, though I can tell she's still not convinced. I can't blame her. We're all just trying to survive. I stand up and turn back to the group. All right, let's get moving, I say. We don't have much time. The Serpents won't give up, and we can't afford to wait around. We saddle up again, the bikes roaring to life as we push forward. The road ahead is uncertain, but we have no choice but to keep moving. We ride in silence, each of us lost in our own thoughts, but the weight of the mission presses on us all. The trees blur around us as we push through the night, the only sound the hum of the engines and the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. We're miles from where we started, and I know we can't go back. The serpents are still out there, and we need to stay ahead. The air is thick with tension, but I can feel the resolve in the group. We're not giving up. Not now. Not when we've come this far. A few hours later, the first light of dawn begins to break through the trees, casting long shadows across the road. We're still riding, but I can see the fatigue in everyone's eyes. We need to rest. We need a plan. Diesel pulls up alongside me again, his face grim. We need to find a place to lay low for a while, he says. We can't keep riding like this. We need to regroup. I nod, knowing he's right. We need to get to a safe place, somewhere we can take a breath and figure out our next move. There's a town up ahead, I say, pointing down the road. We'll stop there, get some food and supplies. Then we can figure out what to do next. The group nods in agreement, and we push on toward the town, the distance between us and the serpents growing smaller with each passing mile. We're not out of danger yet, but for now, we've bought ourselves some time. And that's all we need. As we roll into the town, I can't shake the feeling that we're being watched. The quiet of the morning is deceiving, and I know we need to stay alert. But for the first time in a long while, I feel a flicker of hope. We're still in this fight, and we're not going down without a fight. We roll into the town, the sun just beginning to climb higher in the sky, casting long shadows over the streets. The hum of our bikes fades as we pull into a small parking lot near an old diner. The place looks run down, the neon sign flickering in the morning light, but it's the kind of spot where no one will ask questions. We've been riding for hours, the exhaustion settling deep into our bones, but there's no time to rest. The serpents are still out there, and we need to get as far from them as possible. I kill the engine of my bike and swing my leg over, the familiar ache in my legs reminding me just how long we've been moving. Diesel and Shadow pull in beside me, and Clutch follows close behind. We're a well-oiled machine, each of us knowing our role, knowing what's at stake. Aisha and Jamal are still with us, their faces tired but determined. They've been through more than most people will ever face in a lifetime, and they're still here. That's the thing about this world. We don't get to decide when things go sideways, but we do get to decide how we handle it. We're going to get them to safety no matter what it takes. We make our way into the diner, the bell above the door jingling as we step inside. The place smells like coffee and grease, a strange comfort after everything that's happened. A woman behind the counter looks up as we enter, her face impassive. She's seen her share of rough customers, but she knows better than to ask questions. We take a booth in the corner, the seats worn but still comfortable. Aisha and Jamal sit together, their hands still tightly clasped. I sit across from them, my back to the wall, keeping an eye on the door. Diesel and Shadow take the other side of the booth, their eyes scanning the diner as they settle in. Clutch sits next to me, his expression unreadable. We order coffee and a couple plates of food, but no one's really hungry. We're all still running on adrenaline, but it won't last forever. I keep my voice low, barely above a whisper. We can't stay here long. The serpents will come for us. They know we're close. Diesel nods, his eyes focused on the door. We'll keep moving. We can't afford to get comfortable. We'll head south again after we've got what we need. I nod, but I can feel the weight of the decision pressing down on me. Aisha and Jamal are still just kids, and they're caught in this fight because of me. I made a promise to their father, and I'll be damned if I break it. Aisha looks up at me, her eyes tired but still sharp. What's next? She asks, her voice steady. We keep moving, I say. We don't stop until we're sure they can't find us. The diner is quiet. The only sounds are the clink of silverware and the murmur of voices in the background. But I can feel the weight of the silence pressing down on me, a reminder that we're running out of time. The longer we stay in one place, the more likely it is that the serpents will catch up. But I can't think about that right now. I can only focus on getting Aisha and Jamal to safety. I glance over at the window, watching as the sun continues to rise. The The streets outside are empty, but I know that won't last. The Serpents are still out there, and they'll be looking for us. We need to keep moving. Diesel stands up, his eyes scanning the diner once more. We're good to go, he says, his voice low. I nod and push back from the table, motioning for everyone to get ready. We don't have time to waste. We finish our food in silence, the weight of the situation hanging over us. Aisha and Jamal stand up, ready to move, but I can see the exhaustion in their eyes. They're strong, but even the strongest people have their limits. We can't keep running forever. I stand up, adjusting my jacket, and head for the door. The others follow, and we step outside into the bright morning light. The parking lot is still empty, but I can feel the tension in the air. The Serpents are getting closer. We need to leave now. As we climb onto our bikes, I glance over at Aisha and Jamal. They're still with us, still fighting, but I can see the weight of it all in their eyes. They've been through so much, but they're still standing. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep standing. No matter how many times we're knocked down, we're going to keep getting back up. I start my bike, the engine roaring to life beneath me, and we head out, the sound of our bikes filling the air. The road ahead is uncertain, but we have no choice but to keep moving. We ride through the town, our bikes cutting through the quiet streets, the wind whipping around us. I can feel the weight of the fight ahead, but I'm ready. We're ready. As we ride into the unknown, I know one thing for sure. We're not going down without a fight. The Serpents may be closing in, but we've got something they don't, determination. And that's something you can't take from us.